Marissa. Today I am joined with my friend Ryan Plata, who also works at Think Hallmark Real Estate, and today we're talking about, do you have what it takes to become a real estate agent? And although this title may seem super scary, we hope that it's actually helpful. We really love our jobs, and we hope that we can give some insight so that you don't go into it kind of feeling blind about it. Hopefully this will make you know a little bit more about what it's like to have a career in real estate. So Ryan, if you want to just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, thanks for inviting me. Appreciate that for sure. Ryan Plata, as Marissa mentioned, I'm one of the agents here with Think Hallmark as well. I'm about 2.5 years into the real estate business. What kind of sparked my interest really was supposed to be a side hustle. Mm-hmm. That was the reality of it. I had spent over 20 years in finance, banking, credit unions, and most recently training and development within those industries as well. So kind of started with, our daughter getting a tuition bill. And then you see that and you're like, hang on. So what can I do as a side hustle that's going to, maybe bring some real money? So again, don't go into with the money mindset, that's for sure. But that's kind of what started this whole thing to begin with. So getting into it, took the course, and things changed as you go about your daily routines, and now I find myself doing it full time, which what I do say about it now is if I would have known what I know now 20 years ago, I would have done this a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So to Marissa's point, I mean, this is the most fulfilling, rewarding career I've ever had at this point in my life. So I'm thankful and grateful. So,
yeah. Well, also along with that, we can definitely sympathize, because I think a lot of people who start a career in real estate are usually not in a great place before they switch over. Personally, I really disliked my job before I came into real estate, and that's kind of how I got steered into it, because I was looking for different marketing and graphic design jobs, and I could not find anything. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, maybe I could make it in real estate, maybe I would enjoy that, and I really do. And so it definitely, I think a lot of people, they're struggling with their current situation, and they think maybe real estate is a good idea, which it definitely can be, but we also want you to be prepared as well. So if you don't have savings, for example, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to go make money quick, real estate might not be your best bet. You definitely need to save money up to invest in your career and into your future.
Don't let this scare you, but to that very point, I kind of coin all the time that this is the most expensive job I've ever had.
Yeah.
And you'll get a little understanding once we kind of get into the nuts and bolts of it, but I mean, don't let that freak you out, but it's kind of true. Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do this, and you have $10 in the bank. I mean, there's definitely an investment into being an entrepreneur and running your own business, and hopefully this will help give you a little guidance.
Yeah, and I do have other financial videos that kind of explain the cost of being a real estate agent, but I think a lot of people just see, my pre-licensing course is a couple $100 and it takes me, $60 to take the test, and the barrier to entry is very, very low. You don't need to go to college or anything like that, but you just got to be prepared to, work hard and have a business plan for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
First, we have some stats for you. So actually we found, this is from the New York Times, how to become a real estate agent was actually the most job-related search term from January 2020 to 2021, which is interesting because that's around the time that we started as well.
Actually.
And, started looking into it, I guess, for sure. I was probably one of those, honestly, in that stat. And then we also have this from another website. So it depends on the source, but typically it's around 87%. So it's pretty safe to say that 85 to 90% of agents will fail in their first 5 years, which is super scary to think about. Yeah. And I think personally I went into it and it's you hope for the best, but you don't really know. But after I kind of got rolling and realized that I was passionate about it, I'm not taking failing as an option,
right.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that you need to have in your mindset is that you are going to survive and make it no matter what. If you go into it thinking, oh my gosh, here's my backup plan, and it's right in my peripheral vision, I am ready to jump at that as soon as something goes wrong. You definitely are not going to last the first 5 years.
Yeah.
But I think just sticking with it and getting up when you're kicked down is very, very important.
You absolutely get what you give.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the word, entrepreneurship, I mean, you're running your own business.
Mm-hmm.
People don't run this business for you. So if you're not out in the trenches and doing the work, nothing's going to come of it. You have to work.
Right. I find it funny too, like nobody's holding your hand. Like you could wake up every day and watch Netflix in bed all day. You really could. Nobody's going to fire you.
Right.
But you're not going to make it anywhere.
Right, but you're not going to get any deals either, right?
Exactly.
That's for sure.
And you had a stat too, right?
Yeah, I just came across a slide from National Association of Realtor. Talked about how currently in 2022 there's 1.6 million agents registered with the National Association of Realtors, which we are, by the way.
Yes.
And 1.3 million of those did not or have not sold more than 4 houses in the first half of 2022, which breaks down to only 8% of realtors in the United States sold more than 4 houses in the first 6 months of 2022.
Yeah.
When you break that down nationwide and you think about, well, what have I done independently? Am I part of that statistic? Am I not part of that statistic? And then you look locally, I mean, we have a huge realtor pool right here in the Fox Valley, So it's just, again, it comes down to what you put into it. Because again, watching Netflix, it's not going to serve you anything unless it's Sunday afternoon and it's raining and you've already made contact with all of your touch points for that day, so. But, daunting as it might sound, I think that's market specific too, depending on where in the country you live. And I think fortunately we're still in an area where the market's still running really strongly. So I feel lucky about that.
A little bit of agents doing most of the work. That's mostly what we see. And like the stats, like it's just insane. Like it's not, 30%, 40%. Like it is, 85% to 90% failing in their first 5 years. And then you've got 92% that didn't sell 4 houses in the first 6 months of 2022. Like it's just kind of crazy to think about. Market
change or not, again, independently, again, I can't say it enough, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So again, you're an independent contractor in this role. So again, nobody's doing our work for us. It's up to us whether we're going to make it or not.
Let's talk about maybe the kind of mindset that you would need to have going into it. I know we kind of already touched on this, but I just have some personality traits written down, and we can kind of go into this in more detail. But you have to be self-motivated. Again, nobody's going to be holding your hand. You could watch Netflix all day if you really wanted to. You have to be organized. I keep a lot of stuff on my laptop personally, and there's a lot of organization apps that you can use. So just making sure you know exactly what's going on, maybe having checklists, creating systems for your work so that you do the same thing every single time, and you really nail it down and become an expert in it. I would also say you do kind of have to be creative because that can go across the board. You can offer a creative experience for your clients. You can be creative with your social media. You can be creative in a lot of different ways, even just coming up with closing gifts.
Yes.
So,
well, you touched on the marketing piece. I mean, again, nobody's doing the marketing for you. That's kind of, again, how do you want to debut yourself? I mean, I think of our broker all the time. He's like, you're the star of your own show. And I mean, that couldn't be more true because, your social media platform and mine are probably night and day from each other from the content that we share, unless we're sourcing it from places, like local stats and things of that nature. But, it's up to us how we want to put ourselves out there. And that creativity is actually probably one of the most freeing aspects of not working under the traditional 8 to 5, if that makes sense. Because again, you are the star of your own show. So.
Right. I absolutely love that part of everything, just having the autonomy to be able to plan your own things and decide what you're going to put out.
Yeah.
I mean, at my last job, I had to get, certain posts run through different people and they'd get shot down all the time.
Red line.
Yeah.
Red line. Try again.
They weren't really what I wanted to be doing. I did not feel inspired at all. And when you really get to have a say in what you're putting out there, and like you said, our content is very different, but I think the most important thing is being yourself and staying in front of people. So it's like whatever works for you and whatever you feel comfortable doing, and also just like doing more videos as well, I think is helpful because people like to see your face and hear your voice.
Yeah. You know, and that brings another word into a lot of what we were just touching on, and that would be consistency. You know, you get into a good role and you just got to keep it going. You know, it's not to say you can't have a day off every now and then because that's only healthy for us. But consistency is the key as well to keep a well-oiled machine going. So your social media presence and your posts and your videos and even, you know, the amount of times you network throughout the week or have an in-person meeting or something like that. That consistency keeps you in a routine, which again, you know, when it comes down to self-determination, you know, again, we're running our own business, so consistency is a big one there.
We also have problem solver. This is huge, mostly I would say in the negotiations, but also being able to like take rejection, I feel like pretty well, and let it roll off your back. Not being afraid to ask questions, especially when you're new. I felt like maybe I was annoying some of our staff here sometimes, asking them a million questions, but definitely was not. It's better to ask a bunch of questions and do it correctly than to mess it up. I mean, this is one of the biggest investments in people's lives, and you definitely do not want to take that lightly. So if you're ever unsure about anything, there's definitely no shame in asking people to help you.
100%. At the end of the day, if you think about it this way, we're executing legal contracts. So, I mean, if there's any gray, you want it to be black and white because in the end of the game, like you said, I mean, legal contracts and, you know, you want to do the right thing, of course. So people are relying on us.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
And then the last couple of things, willing to be constantly learning. So we actually have continuing education that we have to do every 2 years. So keep that in mind. That is an extra cost and an extra time-consuming thing. It's not incredibly time-consuming. It's usually like 18 hours in Wisconsin every 2 years. But you do have to be willing to constantly learn because new things are going to come up all the time. Every transaction has something different. I think you can definitely agree with me on that.
I can. You know, as recently as today, I mean, something came up to our attention that, you know, even our most experienced broker with 40 plus years is like, shoot, I have not seen this before. So again, we're all learning together, which, you know, that support goes unsaid as well when we support each other within the team, you know, to learn together. Benefits everybody, so.
Yeah, properties are complicated, and like you said, it is a legal thing, and there's different things going on with the owners, and you're dealing with properties that are maybe 100, 150 plus years old. There's just always something new to learn, and different things like commercial and land and residential and all types of real estate. So it's like you can definitely specialize in one thing, but you know, you're never just gonna know everything.
No.
That's
also be ready. Yeah, be ready for nothing to shock you. You know? Just put on the thick layer.
Unfazed.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's peculiar. All right, let's solve it. Let's figure it out.
And the last thing we have regarding mindset is patience. You need to be patient. This goes like from your day-to-day, and also I think just throughout your career, you need to be patient and think of like the long term. And so although some people swear by getting like those internet leads, like we personally work by referral, and we really work our sphere and give back to our sphere. And if you don't know what a sphere is, it's kind of just like everybody you know, friends and family, and then like everyone they know, and you're hoping that they will refer their friends and family to you. So really just taking good care of them. And I think that's like also so rewarding. It's because you get to give back to the people who support you and that you know and they love you, and it's like, it's not just random people.
You know, I think that also that philosophy has been one of the most rewarding, and again, I use the word freeing a lot, but to date, you know, I haven't worked with anybody that I don't know personally and or came to me through somebody I do know. So I'm not just getting a email from one of those large internet, you know, MLS search sites that says, hey, I'm interested. You're working with people you know, and you know, what comes from that, it's unmatched, really, because again, you think about the experience, or the biggest compliment somebody can give you is referring you.
Really,
and that's because they know you and they trust you, and they're going to say, listen, you're going to have the best experience with this person because I did, or I know them and I know they're going to take care of you. So working that way versus not knowing where your business is going to come from 1 minute to the next, it takes a lot of anxiety out of it. It makes it a pleasure to answer the phone when you see, incoming spam, or, I know this person, what's that,
From a different state, you're like, voicemail?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, when I was first starting out and first looking into real estate, like, it really did make me nervous, and I think this is reassuring for people because I really felt nervous about having to go door knocking and, finding these internet leads and working with people I don't know. And the fact of the matter is you really choose how you run your business, and like I think it's been super incredibly rewarding to work with the people who we know and trust and the people they know and trust. Mm-hmm. And so definitely don't be afraid if that's something that's like deterring you or stopping you from starting real estate. Like literally, if that's the only thing that's stopping you, like you need to just go for it.
Yeah. Absolutely, and a lot of that is kind of getting out of your own way, with those limitations you set for yourself. Fact of the matter is, I had recent conversation, and I'm just going to say it, with Realtor.com, trying to sell me those. Hey, you can buy your zip code, and you'll be top of the line to get leads in that area. Mm-hmm. Are you interested? And then you hear what the pricing is, and you're like, well, actually, I'm working by referral, and I'm in a position right now that I can say, I don't need to buy your services. Thanks for the discussion, but I'm in a good place. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's a great feeling.
Definitely.
This will be a fun topic. So what you see on TV, there is a newer kind of TV series. It's The Negotiators.
You were almost on it.
I was almost on it, but I chickened out. So sorry. You'll just have to tune into my YouTube channel if you want to learn more about me.
See.
But what you see on TV with HGTV, and I'm sure you know this already, but it's completely fake, and it does not represent what we do actually.
No, not even close.
Yeah, so we've got like HGTV, you show 3 houses, and they pick from the 3, like, no.
Listen, if I could show 3 houses, get an offer accepted and close in 23 minutes minus commercials.
Right.
Oh, would be fantastic.
No one competing with you.
Correct. Yeah. Win every time.
Win every time. Also with like the rage of Selling Sunset and all of their spin-offs coming out. That's good. Also LA real estate, and we are in the Fox cities in Wisconsin, and it is just not at all like what is going on.
Yeah,
yes.
The ball game is different.
And keep in mind that like editing on all of these things can really skew your view of what's actually going on in the real estate market. So like you see on Selling Sunset, like they will get a listing and then it's like the next episode accepted offer, next episode closing. It's like these actually ring the bell. And we love Selling Sunset also for entertainment purposes.
It's
but we definitely can recognize that it is not actually what our day-to-day looks like. I actually love, like when I first looked into getting into real estate, I actually really liked going on YouTube and finding like a day in my life video or a week in my life from regular people just showing exactly what they do for work, because it definitely gives you a better idea of what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, what to expect. Because life is not TV, friends. I'll testify to that.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you've ever watched, I had these shows written down in my notes because I personally love them. They're both comedy shows. It's Santa Clarita Diet and Modern Family.
Oh, Modern Family's hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know
Mr.
if
Dunphy.
Yes, Phil Dunphy. It's like, of course, like, it's not real, but I definitely can appreciate, like, some of the things they play on. And I don't know, like, if one of the writers or somebody, like, knew an actual real estate agent, because some of the stresses that they play on in that show are, like, too real.
On point.
Because there was one episode where, like, Phil was stressing out because it was going to be his first month without a sale. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that is reality. And it just, like, kind of makes light of it. Although it is entertainment, I think it's funny to watch shows with real estate agents as like some of the main characters. And in Santa Clarita to Die, it's Drew Barrymore is one of the main characters, and it's what are their names? I have it written down.
I have not watched.
I haven't watched it in a while. Joel and Sheila Hammond, they are a husband-wife real estate team together, and they purposely will pronounce the word realtor wrong. They'll say we're realtors. Like, it's just hilarious. It's cringy.
I think I actually just shared something on social media about the definition or pronunciation of realtor versus realtor.
Mm-hmm. Definitely love watching them for entertainment. If you are currently a real estate agent and you're feeling some stress, like those are a couple of shows like that will make light of being a real estate agent, and it's not like a true representation, but you can definitely relate at times, which I think is funny.
Yeah, or even go back to Selling Sunset and realize that the drama in your life is probably not holding a candle to what you see on that show.
Exactly. Regarding savings, you definitely need to have money saved up, as we talked about towards the beginning of this video. If you are not prepared to make an investment in your career, if you are in a tough place financially and you barely have any money left, it might not be the best time to start a career in real estate. Personally, I saved up about 3 months worth of income just in case I did not have any sales for those first 3 months. But depending on your situation and your responsibilities and your previous income, you might want to save more than that. But just also like having a financial plan and having a budget as well would be helpful.
Right. Well, and to that point, I mean, there's upfront costs. You mentioned, the education cost, the licensing cost, the test costs. Mm-hmm. But above and beyond all that, the stigma is that we're just, loaded, right? That we're just rolling in the cash. Not true. We're commission only. So if you think about it this way, until we're sitting at a closing table and someone puts pen to paper, we're technically working for free. Right. I mean, for the most part, we're working for free. Mm-hmm. And the time and the investment that goes into even just one sale, say you're representing a buyer, think about it this way. You have to look at houses for one. Maybe you look at 5, maybe you look at 10, mm-hmm. right? But then there's the whole going through the motion of writing the offer and getting it accepted. Once you get to the accepted offer standpoint, then you're looking at another 45 to 60, maybe more days. So we're talking 2 to 3 months sometimes before you even see a paycheck from serving one buyer client. That's, again, assuming you get them into contracts. Sometimes it takes more. Sometimes it goes quicker. But then you get that check in your hand, and what do you have to do with it? Is the government taking the taxes right out of our checks?
Nope.
Guess what? Now budgeting is really, really crucial because you got to pay yourself, but you got to pay the government, and you got to put back into your business. Because the truth of the matter is you have to spend money to make money. Mm-hmm. That's how any business works.
Yeah.
So, yes, to your point, you're not going to just jump in and be like, what's the Scrooge McDuck, diving into the vault on the beginning of DuckTales.
Right. And
it doesn't work that way.
You do have to be careful, too, because if you are desperate to get that check, I think that buyers and sellers can definitely sense that.
Yes.
So you definitely want to have a nice little set of savings that you can pull from, and the more you can feel confident about your financial status, I think the better job you can just do for your clients.
And I think part of that mindset there, too, to reiterate is, are the income potentials limitless? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Because, again, you're going to get from it what you give to it. But if you're only in it for the money, then you're in it for the wrong reasons because this is a massive life event for people. You know, there's working agent to agent, you're trying to take the emotions out of it for your clients. But regardless of what happens, this is a very emotional process for most people, whether they're selling or buying a property. So you're bearing a lot more on your shoulders than just waiting for that check to come across the closing table. So
yeah. And also, if you think like when I started, I was like, it's not ideal to not have a fixed income, but I think I could handle it, and I think I can have a plan in place to make it work.
Yes.
But if you straight up do not think that you are going to be able to make it without a fixed income, you may want to reevaluate just a little bit. You are serving people, and this job is more a service than anything. So, although you don't have to be like an extrovert or anything, I'm definitely not an extrovert, believe it or not. Like after our office meetings, I'm like, oh my god, I need to go home and like take a nap. Like it's like too much like conversation and like this and that. But you are working with a variety of people. Hopefully, if you're working by referral, those are people that you like and trust, and they feel the same way about you. But you do have to have empathy towards people. You also need to be a little bit direct at times, but for the most part, like, you do need to be a people person. Like, Definitely. If you absolutely hate people, this is not the career for you.
And even above and beyond your own client's interest, you're interacting with the other agent. You're definitely interacting on behalf of the other side of the transaction through that agent. You have title companies, you have lenders, you've got the general public that, might call you just because they saw your sign in somebody's yard.
Yeah.
So if you're not a people person, this might be a very miserable line of work for you to do, because it's people all day long, sun up to sundown. Right. I mean, people will be calling you or texting you at 11 o'clock at night. Just depends on the circumstance. So you got to be ready for anything.
And also with your point of, you're working with other cooperating agents, you're working with a title company, you're working with appraisers, inspectors, everything like that. This can be also a good thing, but it can be a bad thing depending on how you look at it. But you are usually not working with the same people every single time. Right. So you may have a really difficult listing agent that you're working with. You might have a really difficult this and that. But also, you might work with some really great people. And keep in mind that those transactions, they might last like 45 to 60 days under contract. And then after that, you get to move on and work with new people.
Right.
So.
Right.
Just being kind of versatile.
Well, and think of your own experiences that you've been through, whether it's real estate or just a trip to a restaurant. Yeah. Word of mouth travels far. So.
And don't be that person.
Right. I mean, if you're not providing the best experience possible, I mean, do you run the risk of other agents letting other people know what their experience with you was like, or even the clients that you served, if the experience was anything less than we'd expect for ourselves, and that's kind of how I think about it. Like, what would I want out of this experience? Anybody else should get nothing less than what I would expect. So.
Yep. Treat others how you want to be treated.
Yes, do unto others, for sure.
Let's kind of talk about education as well, and this can kind of be classes, but it could also be mentors as well. Our broker also says he has a lot of catchphrases, he's constantly saying the same things over and over, and it's like, oh, I like that.
Yes.
But he's always told us when we were new, when you're new at something, how can you expect to be any good at it? Like, you really do not know. And now that we've been in real estate for a couple of years, it's like you do know more than the average person, and people will consider you an expert in your field. But you definitely need to have some sort of education. I think just going in and also relating to the internet leads thing, you'll read that online. If you look up how do I become a real estate agent? How do I become successful? They're going to tell you need to door knock, you need to call expireds, you need to call for sale by owners, and make a bajillion calls a day and do all of these things. But you really need to decide how you're going to run your business. And we both took 100 Days to Greatness, and I am so glad.
Game changer.
Yeah, that's Brian Buffini's 100 Days to Greatness class. And thankfully, we went through this through our brokerage. But you can always take this on your own. You don't have to rely on your brokerage for education. You can look elsewhere and find things for yourself.
And whether it's required continuing to keep your license in place, but I mean, having that mindset of always learning is going to be really important, because you're going to come across situations all the time that, well, I don't know anything about that. Let me see what I can find out. But, truth be told, the pre-licensure, the course you take and the test you pass to get this license.
Nothing like it.
Not even close than when you're out there actually doing it. So keep that in mind too. I mean, it's got, barely the surface scratched of the things you're going to encounter and come across, day in and day out. So,
yeah.
And I think Kevin, our broker, always says all the time, if we're not winning, then we're learning, right? Is that what he says?
Yes.
If you're not winning, you're learning, which is true.
There's no lose.
Well, yeah, and if you think about it that way, even if it feels like you're in a losing situation or a tough situation or a stressful situation, you're taking something away from that. So the next time, you might be more prepared to handle that or address that up front or catch it. Just depends on what situation you're in at the moment. So.
Yeah, you can either get mad or you can grow, because I do have a personal story. I was working with these clients and they were very emotional about everything, and it was really stressful, and they needed a lot of communication that I thought I was giving to them, but I wasn't being like, every detail sending to them. And so I could have either gotten frustrated about it, or I could have revamped my business a little bit. And that's exactly what I did. I was like, then at the end, all of that stress that I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm a terrible agent. It's like, it really helped me to form new systems and practices within my business. And at the end, I was like, thank you for that.
Yes.
Like, thank you for showing me that like I needed to update some things with my business.
Yeah, that's critical, being able and humble enough to receive feedback so that you can learn from it without immediately just getting defensive.
Yeah.
It's going to go a long way, because otherwise you're going to find yourself in a very miserable spot.
Right.
So taking the feedback, whether it's something you want to hear or not, it's just a part of life, right? So, and it's going to be a critical piece to running your business successfully too.
Yeah, it's only going to make you better. Along with education, I feel like it is good to have a mentor. I personally, Michelle here, she's my cousin, and I got a lot of help from her when I was first starting out, because I was just at a total loss. And if you don't know anyone, like, your broker should be able to help you. Now I ask Kevin like a million things, and he definitely doesn't mind. He helps me through a lot of situations and helps you as well. So. But definitely thinking about having a mentor. This doesn't really have to be a coach either. It could just be somebody that you really trust at your office and say, hey, can I come along to your showings, or can I come along to your listing appointments? Right. And I guess that's another thing too, is that you have to be knowledgeable about the market. But if you're first starting off and you don't have any clients, you don't know what the heck is going on in the market. So you might want to go along to some of these things.
Exposure is huge, just kind of diving into that point, being at an open house with one of your, co-agents that does have something happening. But you got to learn somewhere.
Yeah.
Simulations, and again, all the online classes in the world, it doesn't equate to what it's like out there in the real world.
We're going to kind of talk about our why. So I think it's very important that you discover your why, and if it is money-based, like, I guess I definitely wouldn't go into it expecting to make a ton of money or anything like that. If that's what you're expecting, then again, it's probably not the right field for you. But it does have unlimited earning potential, and if you see that as something that's really going to benefit you in the long run and you think you can do it, then I do think that that is a good idea, but I don't know that I would consider it a why. So like, the why is your whole sole purpose of being in this career, because this is just like unlike any other. It is not a regular job. I guess from my why, what I wrote in my notes is that I always wanted to work from home. I hated working in an office and in a cubicle, and I really despised going to work every day, and now I'm passionate about my career. I used to hate Sundays, like hate them, because I'm like, I have to go to work tomorrow, like it's just terrible. When I was younger, I would watch HGTV with my parents, and you'd watch like the beach house thing on Sunday night, and it's like, oh my god, like everyone's just trying to get away from reality and think about like what things could be. And honestly, I feel like I really love my life right now, and that it was one of the best decisions I could have made. And then also, like, on the client side of things, I personally want to run my business in a way where I want people to feel like they're working with a trusted friend. I don't want them to see this lady in a suit, like driving around in her fancy car, like I'm above you or anything like that. I want, we're on the same level, and I'm your friend, but I have some knowledge about real estate that I want to share with you, and I want to help you through this situation. So that is my why regarding clients, but I think the biggest thing is that I finally found a career that I'm passionate about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For real. You know, and, to match up to that, I mean, it is kind of two-sided. You have to have a why for yourself, you know.
You do. If you're saying, you know, my why is strictly for clients, like, you're probably lying.
I mean, you have your own life to live, too, right? You know, and if we're dreading Sunday and we're dreading Monday and, you know, I'm a proponent of the second the alarm goes off and I pull the covers back, I'm choosing right then and there how my day's going to go, you know? And now that I'm in the driver's seat of how every day is going to go versus working for somebody, what a game changer. I mean, for real, I like the word autonomy. Yeah. To create my own day and knowing, again, whatever I give to this day is what I'm going to get out of this day. You know, I'm in full control, and I've never in my life been in that situation before. And thankfully, with the success that I've been having, it's allowing me to continue down this path. So I just, again, I said it earlier, if I knew now, 20 years ago, man, I would have done this a long time ago. Right. But, you know, when you think on the flip side of, you know, what's my why for the clients? You know, I spent, again, a lot of time in banking and financing, and a lot of that time was as a lender. And seeing people realize their dreams on that side of the table, whether it's, you know, consolidating debt or getting that fancy new car or whatnot, even a home loan or renovating a kitchen, but now being on this side of the table and helping them find, you know, the American dream. The home ownership has always been coined the American dream, right? So being on that end of the table and going through these places and realizing those moments of when they come through the door and they have that, this is the one, you know, like I just got goosebumps. I mean, it's for real. Like, that's my why, because sharing those moments in such an intimate journey for people, I mean, where else can you get that? Right. You feel so much closer, even if you knew the people already. And like, I've worked with people who have been referred to me by my friends in my life, and I'm like, oh my God, we're friends. Like, after the fact, like, you just go through all of these things, and like, the home is such an important thing in somebody's life. And like, I've always, you know, I always wanted to work from home. Like, I'm such a homebody, and to like give that to somebody else and help them find that, I think it's just so cool. Yeah. It definitely has to be a healthy balance of what's in it for me, but more importantly, what's in it for them, you know? Yep. And if you balance that appropriately, you're going to have the best life ever. For real. Yeah. It's a good life. It is a good life. It's a good life. Yes, exactly. So to close this out, we're going to kind of talk about our one thing, and it's really hard for me to keep it to just one thing, but the most important thing that you need to quote-unquote make it in real estate. So personally, I think the most important thing that new agents can have is the ability to get back up when they are knocked down, just continually, because it's not just going to happen once. So the ability to get back up, you know, it's not like one thing knocked you down and then you're out of the business, and also having that mindset that you are going in and you are going to make it. Going in and thinking you are going to fail is definitely not the right way to start out. So Ryan, how about you? What's the most important thing? You know, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. Tenacity for sure. You have to keep going no matter what situation's in front of you. And I'll tell you what, the good is certainly always the bad, for sure. But as critical as it gets, that mindset, because if you think about it, if you go into it with, well, how am I going to do this? This is never going to work. You know, it's all about, I'm going to do this. This is going to work. It's going to be great. We create our own hurdles, you know, and if we stay in a mindset of positivity where we're not creating those I can'ts or I won'ts for ourselves, then the sky's the limit, you know. If you get out of your own way, which is probably one of the most impossible things to do, believe it or not. As soon as you can get to a place where you get out of your own way, or like Kevin says, get out of the stinking thinking. Yes. You know, that there, friends, is the key. You know, get out of your own way, for sure, and you will take off. Yes. Running. Absolutely. Well, this has been great. Yes, oh my gosh, when do we do the next one? So much. I know, I want you to be in more videos. Yeah, I'm going to be Christine next time. Okay, sounds good. Are you going to wear the heels too and that like the whole black outfit? It'll be a good one for you. Yes. You know, stay tuned for that one. Yeah. Well, we really genuinely
genuinely hope that you personally make it in real estate. If this is something that you want to do, keep in mind all of these things, and you can always reach out to us with any questions.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, Ryan, if they want to get in touch with you?
Find me on Facebook, or you can go right to the Think Hallmarks website and look under the Our Agent section. But Facebook for sure, Instagram are probably the easiest ways you're going to find me.
Awesome.
Or you can Google search me too.
Sounds good. I'll leave your information in the description if you want to go follow Ryan.
Please do.
And I'll leave my information down there as well. So thank you for watching. I hope this has been very helpful for you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. That's what makes it fun, the outtakes.
Yes.
The outtake.
The bloopers.
Hi.
Yeah, super proper. Just kidding.
I'm always like scared that it's not recording, but it literally has a big red light on it. I'm like,
oh, it doesn't do a countdown, it's just going.
Yeah, it's just going.
Hello. Well, yeah, how personal do I need to go?
not that much, I don't know. I live in Appleton on this street.
Oh, yes, here's my exact coordinates.
Like, how did you find that? I'm like, it's
magic. It's magic.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
And action. Yeah. Shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say. It was like totally relating to that. Oh, yes, okay. Definitely feel that, and I'm sure you have too. And just working with your sphere, I'm losing my train of thought.
Internet leads, random, sphere.
Oh, it's like kind of got in my way, and so now it's so loud.
Yeah. Ooh, I keep forgetting.
Or like I would sit and watch HG.
Strong point.
Okay, it's working. Full battery. Good thing.
And the old one's saved, right?
Business like upon that, and I don't know.
Lost your train of thought?
Maybe I'll just say the ability to keep going.
Take it with grace.
Yes.
Take it with grace.